And how did it work, you know, because you had total control. I mean, it's your, like, talk to me about that. Like, well, okay, let's just go back for a minute. So you have this Skype, and then what happens? It's like, good luck. Well, I mean, was it 9 months later? Was it a year later? Or was it like a day? You know, what's the timeline between, like, and how did you think it went? Like, could you tell it went well, or you weren't? It was just poker face?
No, I mean, we just had an immediate chemistry, the two of us. It was great. And I started almost immediately after that. And it was a year of just being with Paris, following Paris around the world. And while I was filming, I was also going back and editing in New York. So this back and forth. And at the end of the year, the film was finished. So it was just really, really intense. And I would say from the beginning of the filming to the end of the filming, I really did see a transformation in her. And I've only seen that very rarely in my life. I've very rarely seen someone actually change before my eyes. And I've always wondered if it's real. Like, can people really change? Because it doesn't seem possible in my life. I can't even teach myself to pick up my own laundry enough. So how can people change? And I think that's what I was trying to explore in this film.
And how did she change?
She went from somebody who was so kind of uptight about this character and protective of it that she couldn't really explore what had happened to her. She really didn't want to confront her dynamics with her family. Like, everything was blocked off. So she was really invested in the character. And I think you can see that at the beginning of the film. A lot of what we're doing is just all character. And I'm wondering, like, when are we going to get past this facade? You know, when am I going to see more of that woman I first met? Because every time we went out to Korea or whatever, as soon as she was on a stage, it was Barbie, Barbie, Barbie. And what happened is, through these conversations, it was almost like therapy. And I found out that Paris couldn't actually ever go to a therapist because she'd been abused by therapists at Provo. And so part of her PTSD is therapists. And I started to realize, on some level, I think this woman did this film because she realized that she could go through this process without having to go through to a therapist. And what we were doing was just uncovering layer after layer, especially after that 2 a.m. talk in Korea. We start to then, you know, she's very honest with me, and we start to pick this thing apart. And after Korea, you know, there was a time when she wouldn't get out of bed in the middle of the day, and I had a whole $11,000 crew waiting on the street. And I had the relationship to her to be able to march into her bedroom and be like, we're doing this. I'm going to give you another hour to sleep. And then I'm coming back and we're going to talk about your freaking insomnia. You know, she was like, okay. And, you know, we broke these things apart and really looked at them. And as we did that, she did start to transform. And I saw her looking more and more outward, not worrying so much about her image and everything, worrying a little bit more and a little bit more, a little bit more about the other children that had been abused the way she was, about the other classmates that had been through this, wondering, researching, looking at ways to change the system. And today, she's a full-blown activist. I mean, she was on the phone with me yesterday about impact and how we're going to break code silence and close the schools. It's a huge part of her life. Like, I can't really imagine the Paris Hilton I met 2 years ago really being an activist the way I see her today.